Now, to the Women's Champions League, and I'm delighted to say Emma Byrne is with us, live from Barcelona this morning. Emma, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning. How are you? All good.
We're watching agog at how the Camp Nou is sold out for the second leg of the Classico in the Champions League, and kind of really beginning to understand that the movement in Ireland to get behind the women's team and for the growth of the women's football in particular has actually been a global movement. That's the whole point here, is that we're plugged into something that everybody can see is happening worldwide. But I think probably in Ireland not many people are fully aware of the fact that the Camp Nou is sold out tonight.
Yeah, it is, and you're right. Women's football is a very global sport, and it is improving all around the world. But I have to say that here in Spain, well, in Barcelona in particular, not the whole of Spain, that it's just become huge. It's a massive thing, and I think the sellout is a good example of that. It just proves, how much they're behind the women's team here at Barca, and how much the club do for the women's team.
Why do you think so obviously tonight is the culmination in decisions that were made a while back, but can you talk to us a bit about that? Why did that happen? What's kind of been behind the surge in support for the team, and also just the quality of football that they're playing? How did that happen?
Well, it started a long time ago. They have a ethos in the club that is, it goes from the men's team all the way down to the 5-6-year-olds, and the women's team have been included in that. And all of the way they train, the way they work, the way they live, eat, sleep, it's the same kind of method, the same regime as the men's team. And watching them train on the pitch, it's very, very technical, specific, and it's all about training with the ball. It's all about being comfortable on the ball, and it's the same with the men's, the passing, the short passing, the Tiki-taka, the counter pressing. It's very important that for them that they win the ball back very quickly, and they've been working on that a lot. And I played against Barca in the Champions League a very long time ago, and we absolutely hammered them. And it's just because they weren't able to compete physically. But you could see they were very good players. But when it came to Champions League football, you have to be very, very strong and very good defensively. And I know they've worked on that a lot throughout the years, and they've become very, very good at it. And for them, it's just about winning the ball back higher up the pitch, which they're very, very good at, and basically punishing teams when they can, because like the men, sometimes they play too much, but now they're very, very direct and really good to watch.
And with that, the fans have showed up in big numbers.
Absolutely. I mean, Barca has a massive fan base anyway, and the men's club have integrated the women's into the club with their social media. They've done everything very professional in regards to advertising the women's game. They're in the museum. Wherever you can see men's football at Barca, you can see women's. And it's the same with every sport across Barca, by the way. It's not just women's football, it's handball, it's basketball. But you can see it. It's more notable in the women's football because of the fan base and because of the hordes of people that want to go and watch.
That's kind of a big thing for the game as well, isn't it, Emma? You see League of Ireland Twitter accounts as well, where there's no differentiation anymore, and now Bo's team plays on Saturday. A lot of people go along to the game. You see a lot of the same people that go to Dalymount on Friday night. Sligo Rovers, their team now starting off in the League of Ireland. Twitter account just treats everything as the same thing, and it's becoming like almost a big family from which like both the men and the women can benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. And that comes from within the clubs and their drive and how they publicise their teams. And a lot of teams are now having the same Twitter account and things like that. For me, I think it's still better, the separate Twitter accounts, and you can bring them together some stages. But Barca have done that really, really well. And they also have the Barca TV, which is, an in-house production company, which is a massive thing. And they also promote the team very, very well. Yeah.
You're commentating for the game's tomorrow night. I should specify in case anybody's going looking for their TV listings tonight to try and see it. You're working with Barca TV, so they obviously have an English language version, or else you're doing it in Spanish, and that's even more impressive.
No, unfortunately, I'm
Catalan,
not there.
actually, yeah.
I'm not there yet with my Spanish or my Catalan, by the way. They speak Catalan here more than Spanish. No, I am doing the English version, thankfully, because that would just be too stressful for me otherwise. It's really nice. It's really nice to work with the club in general, because they do treat everybody extremely well, and you do get the sense of a family kind of community once you're part of the club, you're part of the big picture, so to speak. It's been great.
They're totally set up for a period of success then. It sounds like the academy system is funneling world-class players through to the senior team, and there seems to be a gap at the moment for a preeminent team in women's European football. After, for a long time, it would have been Lyon. Everybody would have said, oh, well, they're going to win the Champions League for forever. But actually, sport is cyclical, and it seems like it's Barca's turn.
Yeah, it really does. It really feels like that. And, you know, watching the other games in the Champions League, I do believe that Barca are the best team in it. And, you know, they don't stop improving, which I think is very important, because, you know, they won the Champions League, which was fantastic. A lot of teams stay together after that, and the bulk of them did. But the players that they've added after winning the Champions League has been massive as well, and they're just getting stronger and stronger. And they look unbeatable. I mean, Real Madrid did very, very well against them, but you're talking about playing against Barca when maybe they're at their worst day, and hopefully you're at your best and you're just basically defending. So they're very, very hard to beat. I do think Real Madrid did very, very well, but I don't think they're going to have a chance tomorrow.
The other games that are still on, so Juve are ahead of Lyon 2-1 on aggregate after the first leg. Arsenal and Wolfsburg play their second leg, I think, on Thursday as well. What's the story with Arsenal at the moment? Are they realistic contenders to win this thing, or would it take a bit of a miracle for them to, if they get through this, to beat a team as good as Barcelona at the moment?
I don't think it would be like a miracle. I think that they'd have to be playing very, very well, and I think they'd have to have a lot of things to go right for them. But I have seen a massive change with Arsenal as well. They're a very, very good team. They seem to be knitting together much more. They've added Blackstenius, who's a fantastic signing for them, what I believe was something that they were lacking, that out-and-out number 9. And watching them play recently, I think they definitely can do it. But I do think it's going to be a very big ask of them to beat Barca at this stage. And, you know, Barca, they seem to have played their poorer performances of recent, and that's when they're most dangerous. And you really don't want to be going into that game when they're fired up and needing to prove something. So if Arsenal do manage to beat Wolfsburg, which I think they will, I think it's going to be a fantastic game in the semi-finals. They'll be playing Barca for sure. Barca will win tomorrow night, and I think they can do it. But there's going to be a lot of factors going into that game for them to do it.
It will be really interesting to see exactly what would happen with Arsenal. So for people who might not have been following the WSL week on week, they're just a point behind Chelsea at the top of the table. There's an incredible title race unfolding there, and in the midst of that there'll be hopefully 2 legs against Barcelona as well. So no better time for everybody to be focused when the football is getting incredibly good and incredibly tense.
Yeah, it is the best time of the season, and especially now because it's a great title run in the UK. Barca have run away with the league here. They won the league a couple of weeks ago. I mean, it's crazy. They had something like 11 games left and they'd won the league. But for Arsenal, that could be another factor for them. The fact is they have to fight for the league in England. And that's a massive task for them as well, and for them to have to try to utilise players and to try and keep players fit for the semi-finals. Hopefully they'll get there. Will be something that they'll have to manage, and that'll be difficult because they do have a massive battle in England at the moment.
What do you think is going to happen?
What do I think is going to happen? I think Arsenal can win the league. I do. I think they can win it. I do think Chelsea are liable to drop some points. So they have to, Arsenal have to fight right till the end. I do think Arsenal will get to the semi-finals. I'm hoping they do. And I think it's going to be an extremely difficult game, but I do think Barca will beat them, unfortunately, for Arsenal.
Well, it'll be two good legs to watch and a good opportunity for us all to kind of test and see exactly where Arsenal are and where the WSL is versus this great Barca team. I did want to talk to you a little bit about the Ireland team at the moment. This Sweden game it's been looming large for months and months and months and months, and now we're 2 weeks away from it. And I think there's a bit of trepidation, obviously, because of the result the first time that they played, but the importance of us seeing progress and the team not taking a step back. Like, it doesn't feel like they're going to take a step back, and it feels like the progress has been there, and it feels like so many of them are actually, of the team themselves, are playing good football on teams that are either coming out the right side of difficulties or are just coming into a sweet spot in their career. That's kind of from the outside. You're obviously much more connected to it. What's your feeling about how the team as individuals are progressing at the moment, and what's your expectation for how well we're going to go against Sweden?
I mean, it's definitely it's looking good I'm optimistic about the Irish team. You can see an improvement. There is definitely a transitional stage, and it's difficult for a manager to come in and to put her stamp on the team. And she said it, Vera said it herself, she doesn't have a great amount of time with the team. It's not like club football that you get to work with them every day. So that's been difficult, but you can definitely see a change in it. I think they are playing more attacking football. I think it's a really good moment for certain players like Katie McCabe, like Denise O'Sullivan. I think it's really nice to see a lot of them playing in the Women's Super League in England. And I do think it's a really good time. I think Sweden are an exceptional team, and they're very much in form, and they've players that are really, hitting the high levels at the moment. So I think it's going to be an extremely difficult game. But in general, as far as qualification goes, I do think we can do it with a couple of slip-ups there last year, but there's no reason why they can't get a result in Sweden. I think they're good enough to get a point at least, and then it's about the rest of the games in the campaign and keeping everybody fit and just pushing forward and getting 3 points in every game after this one.
We haven't quite bottomed out about who is going to be our number one goalkeeper into the future. There's a bit of competition there, so it's Maloney, Walsh and Brosnan in the race at the moment for the number one jersey.
It's really difficult. I mean, for me, it's very important to have a goalkeeper for the national team who's playing regularly for their club. And it doesn't really matter what level that's at. As long as they're playing, they're getting lots of minutes. And it's a struggle for the goalkeepers at the moment. Grace Maloney's been playing very, very well. And she's, Reading's number one, and she's very consistent. However, I was very excited to see that Walsh had come over from the dark side. She's a fantastic goalkeeper, and I think she's done really, really well when she's come in. So Vera Pauw does have some decisions to make, but it's just to reiterate, they have to be playing football, they have to be getting regular games, and that's very, very important.
It's interesting you say that it doesn't really matter what level they're at. So you think Bazunu over Kelleher in terms of the paths that they're going on?
Yeah, I mean, well, no, I do like both of them, and Kelleher's been playing really, really well. But for me, goalkeeping is about you as an individual, and not so much about the opposition or the level that you're playing at. As long as you're training well, and the minutes that you're getting. I mean, not like when I was playing at Arsenal, I had nothing to do. But you're busy and active, and you're putting all the training into the games and making the right decisions, because that's very important. If you're not playing, you don't get a chance to put that to the test. You don't make the right decisions, You don't have that reaction time. And it doesn't matter how much you train, because it's very, very important to be able to go and make those decisions on the pitch, and the only way to do that is through playing time.
What about the respective quality of your coaching though then?
Well, that's very important. That's without talking about playing or anything like that. Your goalkeeping coach is your god, and it's really important, and I can definitely speak to that, because I've had goalkeeping coaches who weren't good enough and lots of problems with. And it was one of the reasons why I stayed at Arsenal for so long, is because I had an excellent goalkeeping coach that became everything to me, and I depended on him a lot. So yeah, for me, it's the most important thing.
That's interesting, because like Caoimhin Keller is obviously getting incredible levels of coaching, and he's seeing firsthand what the second or third best goalkeeper in the world is like. Bazunu had that and is now away from that, but is playing week in, week out, and I guess can tap back into it. Like, if he felt he wasn't getting everything he needs on a day-to-day basis at Portsmouth, he could just rock up to Man City and say, I have this thing I need to work on, and maybe has a bit of the best of both worlds.
Yeah, absolutely. And if he doesn't feel like he's getting what he wants at Portsmouth, he will change that. It's so important to have that. And it's very important to also know what kind of club you're going into and know the goalkeeping coaches that you're going to be working with. It's a massive decision, and it definitely would have been a part of his decision in when he was going there. But yeah, like Man City are very open to that as well. They have the facilities, they have the coaches, and he could definitely go back there if he wanted. But I wouldn't say he would. I'd say he's happy enough. Otherwise, he'd have to change that fairly quickly.
Just on that as well, I remember speaking to a goalkeeper in the League of Ireland who he wasn't particularly enamoured with his goalkeeping coach. And I guess, what's that like, Emma? So you've 2 or 3 goalkeepers, you've one goalkeeping coach, and fair enough, if you're an outfield player and you don't get on with the manager, you can kind of hide and get on with it, whatever. But like, if there are only 2 or 3 goalkeepers and you don't get on with the goalkeeping coach, where do I go from here?
Yeah, it's difficult if you're not the first choice, because then you can't really rock up to the manager and tell him that you're not happy with the coach, because you're not really the priority, unfortunately. But if you are second or third choice, then it's just about, getting through the sessions and getting as much as you can from it. It's really difficult mentally to do that. But if it were me and I wasn't happy with my goalkeeping coach and I knew nothing was going to change, I'd be looking to leave for sure. Or I'd definitely be getting my coaching elsewhere, which is what I did at Arsenal. I had to go to Hale End, which is where the boys train. So I was actually going outside of my training to get goalkeeping coaching. Wow. Yeah.
Apart from your burgeoning media career, are you involved in football on a day-to-day basis as a coach or at that level?
Not at the moment, because I'm teaching as well, so I literally don't have any time. But I am planning on doing my I did start my A license, but I'm planning on going back to it. And I coach for not Barca directly, but sometimes teams come in and they want coaching sessions, and I'd coach for some of the players, some of their camps and things like that. We're also thinking about starting an academy here in Barcelona. So I think in respect to my time in coaching, I think there's going to be a lot more of that in the future.
So do you aspire to be a goalkeeping coach at like women's level, or do you aspire to be a goalkeeping coach at any level, or do you aspire to be just a coach?
Well, coach first. You have to do all your badges, and I enjoy coaching outfield players. And then goalkeeping would be my expertise. And I really wouldn't. I'd actually love to go into coaching boys and men's teams, but also women's as well. It really wouldn't bother me. It doesn't bother me who I coach. But in general, at the beginning, it will be to try to improve the level of goalkeeping coaching here in Spain, first of all, and then see what happens.
Yeah. It's such a terrible part of the world to live in as well, what with all the amazing food, architecture, weather.
Does Spain have amazing food?
Oh, Barcelona has some of the best food in the world.
Does it?
Yeah.
Barcelona's not really Spain.
Yeah, that's not a good thing. It's not always a good thing. You talk about the weather. It's been hotter in Ireland than here, and I'm getting annoyed with everyone texting me and slagging me off.
I'm going to the south of France on Thursday, Emma, and I looked up the temperatures on Sunday, and it just like everything went grey for the south of France for the 4 days I'm there, and it was much colder than it was in Ireland. As I was looking on my phone, I was like, what?
I know. I split my time between Manchester and Barcelona, and usually I'm in all my glory texting about, lovely weather and all. I've been here for 3 weeks now, and it's rained every single day, every day. And
But that's it for the year, though. That's it. That's it.
Well, yeah, it's starting to get a bit nice now, and I'm leaving tomorrow, Thursday. So yeah,
Beautiful.
Great to have you with us again, Emma. Thanks a million. Cheers.
Thanks a lot. Cheers. Take care.
That's Emma Byrne there, Republic of Ireland goalkeeping legend.